people today. They could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your corner. A friend like AARP. So your health lives longer.
This is just slow-mo karate?
Just slow-mo karate.
Your money lives longer.
I just bought that.
I just sold that.
And your happiness lives longer. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
Hello, my name is Teresa Collins, and I am an Executive Council member for AARP Illinois. AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan member organization, has been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 60 years. AARP Illinois is proud to represent all those who are 50 plus in Illinois and our 1.7 million members. And we thank you for the opportunity to be your wise friend and fierce defender. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life for all as we age, leading positive social change and delivering value to members through advocacy, service, and information. At AARP, we know that staying fit is one of the pillars of healthy living, and we want to help you on your fitness journey. Physical activity can boost memory, improve thinking, and even lower dementia risk. It's not too late to start. AARP is proud to offer today's virtual event to start or continue you on your fitness journey. Have a wonderful class and enjoy.
Hello and welcome. I'm Diane Butera and welcome to Boost Your Immune System. I'm so grateful to AARP Illinois and Teresa Jones for providing this opportunity to meet with you and to give you some fabulous information to help you with aging to your very, very best. If you've seen any of my other webinars, you know that I like to talk a little bit about why I do this. So we're going to move to the outline of what's going to happen today. What's going to happen is you're going to have an introduction. I'm going to talk about why I do this. We're going to talk about your immune system, your microbiomes, your mindset. We're going to do some self-lymphatic drainage, mild self-lymphatic drainage. It's a very gentle process. You're going to love this. It's a wonderful tool to have in your toolkit. We'll do some breath work. You'll get another deep rest. We'll do some movement as well. And then, of course, I love to provide you with some resources. We won't get a chance to do the Q&A because, unfortunately, this is pre-recorded, but I try to show up so that if there are questions, that I'll go ahead and be there for you. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so we'll stay on this slide because I'm going to talk a little bit about why I teach this program, Boost Your Immune System. As I've mentioned in the past, I used to think that my health, my healthy living was something that manifested on the outside. It showed on the outside, and I wasn't taking care of the inside. The ignorance of youth, right? About how important it is to take care of the inside. Unfortunately for me, I did end up with ovarian cancer. And that's where I learned a lot about the lymph system because I had to have a complete hysterectomy, first surgery I've ever had. They take out lymph nodes, and when they take out lymph nodes, it disrupts your lymphatic system, and your lymphatic system is a big part of your immune system. So that's where I learned about this whole thing about lymphatic drainage, and that's where I got more interested. I got a whole lot more interested on my immune system. Because as I understand it, the immune system is the major player when it comes to how we stay healthy, how we fight off colds and flus, how we fight off more bigger illnesses like cancer. And so that's why I got real interested in this. And of course, you guys know that if you've been in my webinars before, or maybe you don't know, that healthy aging is near and dear to my heart. I had that big wake up call, and I want to be here a long time. So I'm very curious. I like to research. I like to look for the really good information. And then I love to share it because I like to be helpful and to help you get to the resources, the tools a lot more easily than having to do all that homework. So I've done it for you. And what I try to do is present to you information that has evidence, that has solid research, that's not just a WebMD or a Google search that actually has the robust research that shows us that this is what's really effective. So as I speak, I'm not writing you a prescription. I'm not telling you what to do. It's information that I've found that I think is good information, trying to present it in a way that's more easily understood, rather than go into the deep dive of all the different the scientific background, but try to distill it down to something that is really accessible to you. And giving you this information, then I want to give you tools. What can you do with? Okay, so you told me that the lymph system is important. What can I do? Well, that's why we're going to practice some mild self-lymphatic drainage. It's really cool. Well, you've told me that sleep is really important. How do I get good sleep? And by the way, my last webinar, you guys, maybe you got to come, but it was all about sleep. So I won't go into deep dives on some things because we're going to actually have specific webinars on things like sleep, on breath, on mindset, on stress. So I touch more lightly on those topics, but they all are important topics when it comes to your immune system, right? All right, so that's a little bit about me. And again, I am not here to tell you that I have all the answers. These are suggestions. Some may or may not work for you. I know that when I went through cancer, there were a lot of suggestions, and I had to find the right avenue, the right journey for me. And so these are just opportunities to explore. And sometimes I may give you way more information that you were interested in, but ultimately what I want is to leave you with some easy to use tools that you can integrate into your day. Okay? All right, that's my goal. I hope I get there. All right, so let's talk about the immune system. You can advance, please. So your immune system is how your body fights off infection, and it has three different ways it does it. One way is simply through a barrier, your skin. So because we have skin, then we don't easily get infections because our skin protects us. Then we have the innate immune system, which is things like our different organs. You can see in that picture that your tonsils, long time ago they took them out, but they're actually a really great way to help us fight illness, and they're part of the immune system. And then there's the adaptive, and that has to do a lot with your white blood cells. So I don't want to get too complicated, but I want you to know there's three different ways that your immune system works for you. And I mean, we could go into all kinds of things, but we're not going to dive that deep into what happens with the different, the innate and the adaptive immune system. So let's go ahead and advance. The lymph system, I'm going to spend a lot of time on the lymph system because the lymph system is actually where all those impurities are moved out of the body. So lots of impurities come into the body, but we need to get them out. And when you have clogged lymph nodes, you guys have experienced this. When you go to the doctor and say, "Oh, I have these swollen glands," those are lymph nodes that are blocked. So the self-lymphatic drainage, mild self-lymphatic drainage, is how we're going to move that lymph through our system, get it into the main drains, and hopefully feel a lot better. All right, so we can advance here. So why are we doing this MLD, which is mild lymphatic drainage? Well, it's not just to remove the toxins, but it's also to stimulate the immune cells and help the stagnation of the lymph. We really want that. It's like a dam, and if it gets blocked, then everything builds up, and that's how we get sick and how we don't feel well. And even, simple things like learning how to drain your face is really nice for people who have maybe problems with their sinuses. You may have a really powerful experience just from the little bit we're going to do here. And if you don't feel anything, maybe you try it a little bit more on your own. All right. If you've ever had breast surgery, you know what I'm talking about with the lymphedema that you can get with the lymph nodes and the armpits, that you can actually feel them. So you may have already experienced something like that. So this might be really helpful for you. By the way, if you've had breast surgery, I want you to be real gentle, but you can still do this. You don't want to cause any additional swelling or lymphedema. So always be gentle. Lymph nodes are very close to the surface. So this is not an aggressive technique. It's a really gentle technique. Most of the time I want you to think about if you had a tiny newborn kitten and you were touching it, how gently you would touch, okay? So that's really important for you to know about doing this mild lymphatic drainage that we're going to do in just a minute. Okay. And if you've had surgery, this is a good thing to know about too. All right, we're going to advance here. So self-lymphatic drainage, there's a manual technique. You can do it for yourself. You can have someone do it to you. Why pay to have somebody do it when it's so simple to do for yourself? And then there's also dry brushing, which this is, a simple tool that you can use for dry brushing. There's all different kinds of dry brushes, and I'll show you after we do the manual technique what the dry brushing is all about. Okay, so let's go ahead and spotlight me, and we're going to do some mild lymphatic drainage. So you have different drains in your body. Most of them are up here by your heart. There is a main drain down in your groin area, but we're going to mostly work with the drain that's right up here, and we're going to work with the face. I'll add a little bit in for fun for you guys so you get to see what's going on, but let's just start with this really important area right here. Find your collarbone. You can see my collarbones are pretty obvious there. So find your collarbones. And remember what I said about the small kitten. So you're going to take your fingers and you're going to cup them like this. And you're going to come up here. See, there's your collarbones. And you're just going to gently pull a little bit of the skin down. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see I'm just gently pulling and tucking my fingers inside the collarbones. It's really gentle. Really gentle. I'm working all the way out to the ends here. I'm going to keep going across. I know it probably doesn't feel like anything's happening, but believe me, it is. So again, it's just a gentle pull the skin and tuck it under there. And you could do this for 5 minutes if you want, but for educational purposes, we're not going to do it for very long. This is a really important area. We're going to start with this area and we're going to finish with this area. So a few more swipes across, gently working with this area. All right, now we're going to work with this area over here. There's a big muscle here. It's your sternocleidomastoid, your SCM muscle right here. I'm going to turn so you can see. And you're going to go on either side of this muscle here and just stroke down. Remember, it's light. It's not a massage. It's super gentle. I'm up to the ear and I'm just stroking down. You can even just do one side maybe, and then the other side. And if you happen to feel something like like a little P-shaped bump or something, that's a clogged lymph node. They are pretty tiny, but excuse me, when they get clogged, they definitely get bigger. So if you find something like that, you just gently move your finger in a circle. Don't press down on it. Just gently move your finger in a circle, and that will help the fluid move through, right? So you're just moving your hand down on one side, either side of this muscle, very gently. You're not pushing hard. Be sure to do the other side. There's the muscle. Again, the lymph nodes are very close to the surface. It's so surprising to me how easy this is to do. You want to do both at the same time. There you go. Think about, you could do this so many places. You can standing in line at the grocery store, sitting in the passenger seat, something to occupy yourself rather than looking at your phone, right? I know I'm guilty of that. All right. So now we're going to go behind the ears, known as the water wheel here. So take your jaw and go all the way up, back behind there where the jaw kind of disappears. And very gently, you're going to make some little circles here. Very gently, little circles. You're not pressing hard. And you're moving You might, for some of us, we might even start to feel some draining happening. I had 2 weeks of a cold. I have grandkids, so I get exposed to a lot of germs, and so I come by them honestly. So I've been doing a lot of this drainage here. So little circles back and forth. All right, we're going to work with the sinuses here. You're going to take some gentle sweeping right there and sweep to the outside and go slow. Slow it down. We're not in any hurry. Starting right there underneath those cheekbones and swiping, pulling to the outside very gently. And again, I'm not going to spend a long time doing this, but you can do a longer when we're doing it. And then some tapping, very good for the lymph system. Tap everywhere, over the eyes, under the eyes, around the nose, above the mouth. All right, and then we're going to go under the nose and we're going to draw a mustache. So you're pulling the skin, doing a little mustache here, very lightly. And under the chin, sweeping up. Or you can also do little circles. See if you feel any clogged lymph nodes. You can gently work on that area. Sweeping this way. Good. Okay. Then we're going to go down to the chest, and here's your collarbones. And if you walk your fingers down, you'll feel a space between your ribs. So we're going to find that space, and you're going to push towards the center. Push towards the center. The lymph flows in a particular way, so we're pushing towards the center. You're not on the rib, you're in that space between. And then go to the next space. I'm going to jump over that rib and I'm going to massage. I don't massage. I'm going to gently pull towards the sternum. Gently. Massage is not the right word. Yeah. All right. For modesty's sake, I am not going to keep going here, but you would go all the way down to about here. Okay. So go ahead and put your hands right here, and you're just going to stack your hands. I'm going to scoot back a little bit so you can see a little bit better here. Put your hands right here, and you're going to stack your hands, and then just push up a little bit. This is where the lymph can get stagnant as well. So I'm in this space that's between the belly button and the sternum, and I'm stacking the hands and just pushing up this way. There you go. You can also work with the groin area. And if you work with the groin area, this is probably something that's nice to do when you're in bed, but you can do all this first thing in the morning before you even get out of bed. But you come over here, here's your pubic bone right here, and there's this little crease in here. Lay your palms down here, right? And then you're just gonna kind of sweep up this way. I know when I had my surgery, I had a lot of lymph nodes. You could really feel them in the groin. There's a lot of lymph nodes in the groin area, and you can work with those to help with reducing swelling. I did have some lymphedema in my leg. All right, there we go. So now we have to go back the way we came. So come back up here, and you're gonna come up this way. There you go. Maybe just do a little bit of working in the armpit. Armpit is really important. We didn't get to the armpit actually. So we're going to go up to the armpit and we're going to go, I'm lifting my arm so you can see more, but you don't have to have your arm up, but draw the skin down and in and down and in. You can have your arm down, and like if you're driving, you just, well, I guess you'd have to be the passenger. When you're the passenger, you can work with the lymph nodes here. Be gentle. You can feel around, see if you feel any little lumps or bumps there. Then you just make little circles there. Don't press down, but just the sweeping motion is really good. We should probably do the other side. So coming here and across. So the lymph nodes go into the arm. And working in the armpit. It's all very gentle. A little more effort when you're doing the groin area. You don't have to be as gentle. It's not a kitten, it's a full-size cat. All right, and I'm just gonna feel around, see if I feel any clogged lymph nodes, any bumps in here. Nope, nothing going on. So we're gonna finish with this draining here. We wanna come back at the very end. You wanna finish with back to where this main area here. So remember our little kitten gently, gently pulling the skin down. You always want to finish with this. All right. Okay, so we started here. We worked in the neck, right? We worked with the water wheel. We did the face. We did under the chin. We did between the ribs. Did this area right here between the sternum and the belly button. We worked in the groin. A little more effort here. Did the arms, the armpits, and then finished with this main area right here. Okay, 5 minutes when you wake up in the morning, nice and easy. Love to hear if it works for you. I think you're going to be surprised. It's so gentle. It's a very gentle process. And I don't want to forget dry brushing. You always want to brush in the direction of the flow of the lymph. So you're brushing this way because remember one of your main drains is right here. It's kind of weird. Lymph flows up. So when you're doing your legs, you're brushing this way. You're doing this area, you're brushing this way. Defies gravity. Brushing up gently. So using a dry brush is also a nice way to do some mild lymphatic drainage. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So many different aspects on how we boost our immune system. So we're talking about not just about the lymphatic system, not just about how to take care of our gut and getting good sleep. There's just a lot of layers, but I do want to make sure that we talk about the idea of a healthy microbiome. And we have all these different microbiomes, and one of them is in our stomach. So what we eat is going to have a real impact on our immune system. Eating a lot of sugar, not the best thing for our immune system. One recommendation is to eat low sugar fermented foods. So if you're a fan of sauerkraut, keep a jar of sauerkraut, have a couple bites of that every day. That's a really nice way to take care of your gut microbiota. We're going to have another webinar that really dives deep into nutrition and how to eat for your health. But I just want to say if you can eat as much plant food as possible and grains and legumes, very healthy for us. I think you know some of the basics of drinking water, staying hydrated, also very important. And by the way, one way to avoid getting sick is to try to avoid touching your face. It's quite interesting. You might want to do a little research on your own, do a little investigation on your own, how often you touch things or shake hands with someone and then touch your face. So your eyes, that's an entry point for the viruses to get in there. If you are starting to feel sick, you probably were contagious a couple of days before you even started to feel sick. So, don't feel too guilty that you gave somebody a cold because you didn't know, because that contagious period is often far before we even realize that we're sick. Not so much with the flu. Flu, usually you're not as contagious until you actually start to have the symptoms. But colds, yeah. So do your best. That's why we say wash your hands. The cold viruses can last 24 hours on the surface of, your counters, your steering wheel, your grocery cart. Uh, not so much with the flu virus, it's a couple hours. So that's the good news. But cold viruses, they're pretty hardy. They can last quite a while. All right. I think those are some basic tips. Oh, practicing nasal breathing. I'm going to do a whole webinar on breathing. And one of the things that I didn't mention in that webinar is how important it is to breathe through your nose. It releases something called nitric oxide, which is going to temper those germs and viruses. So if you can breathe through your nose as much as possible, really healthy for you. It has so much great medicine packed in there. Okay, we can go ahead and move forward. Mindset. How you approach your day, approach your life, how your thoughts have a major impact on your immune system, which kind of makes sense. If you're struggling, if you're feeling sad, or you don't have things that you look forward to, it's going to affect your nervous system and therefore affect your immune system. I do want to say sometimes it's really hard to hear people recommend things like get out and take a walk. You say, well, I don't feel like taking a walk. Sometimes we have to do those things to feel better. Sometimes the action has to precede the result, right? Often it has to happen that way. So even if you don't feel like taking a walk, do it anyway because it's going to help release those endorphins, those hormones that are so important for boosting your immune system, right? A few things I also want to add in terms of boosting your immune system. Of course, I mentioned hydrating, drinking plenty of water, but sleep. Oh my gosh, one of the most important things, and in my opinion, the most important thing you can do for your immune system is get good sleep. And good sleep, how do we qualify that? It's not medicated sleep, so it's not taking sleep aids. Good sleep is not fragmented sleep. It means you get to sleep through the night. You're not being woken up by someone snoring or your own snoring. So there are a lot of aspects to this, and I did do a webinar. You can find that it's a recording on sleep where we spend an hour and a half talking about sleep. If you noticed, I don't know if you're like me, but prior to holidays, I'm getting less sleep because I'm really busy. I've got this long to-do list. It's such a short period of time with so much to get done. And I tend to get sick right during the holidays after I've been so busy doing all that. And it's because I'm not using all those tools that I know are so important, like getting good sleep, getting good nutrition, getting my exercise in. So if you notice that you tend to, like before a vacation, sometimes we're so busy before vacation and we go on vacation and we get sick. So we want to make sure that during times that are more stressful or more active, that we are using those tools so that we get to reap all the benefits of that hard work and don't get sick, right? Let's see, what else do I want to tell you about that? Oh, so if you sleep on your side or with your feet elevated, that can be really helpful. Saunas are really great for your immune system, not when you're sick, but to keep your immune system strong. Using saunas are a great thing to do if you're lucky enough to be able to do that. I don't want to neglect saying that having a sense of purpose and having social connections are really good for our nervous system and for our mindset. Okay, we can advance there. When I did the first webinar for AARP Illinois, we did a Kickstart Your Health, and we talked about how we think about aging and how it impacts our lives and even can add years to our lives. So I just want to have a moment of thinking about what is our attitude towards aging, and how do we optimize having the most healthy approach towards aging? If you have stress, that's pretty normal. I can't think of anybody who doesn't have stress. But how we manage the stress, how intense it gets, that is going to have a big impact on the immune system. It stresses our adrenal glands, which then kicks off this whole process where our immune system is struggling. Having tools to manage stress will help you with your immune system. There is a whole chemical process that happens. You'll hear me talk about things like your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. And a lot of the times, your parasympathetic nervous system is the part of your, there's something happening in your brain that controls everything. So you don't have to think about inhale, exhale, beat my heart, that type of thing. It's happening for you because you have a nervous system. And the nervous system is divided into a couple different parts. And so you have this parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the nervous system that says, oh, rest, digest. The sympathetic nervous system tells you, oh, there's a bear, you need to run. Not that you're running into many bears these days, but the sympathetic nervous system doesn't know the difference between a bear and traffic. So it can get, ignited pretty quickly and you get upregulated, which is not a problem with being upregulated because we don't want to walk around like zombies. But if you stay upregulated, if you're always on high alert, that's going to tax your immune system. All right. So what I want to do coming up in a few minutes is really give you some strong tools, easy to use tools that will help you with your parasympathetic nervous system, that will help you with the resting part, that will help you manage the stress. So we're going to do a few things for that as well. Okay. All right. You can read what's happening there. Talked a little bit more about balanced diet and getting the right vitamins and minerals. Probiotics. Everybody hears about probiotics, but we never talk about prebiotics. Prebiotics, that's your plant food. I can't say enough about eating as many, a variety of vegetables and plant food. Okay, let's go ahead and advance here. Just another shout out to how important it is to get sleep, exercise, to have opportunities to either in prayer or meditation, just listening to quiet music, being out in the sun, getting out in the sun, really important for your vitamin D. And that all boosts something called your dopamine levels, which is important to have dopamine to support your immune system. So those are some lifestyle factors to keep in mind. Exercise, just 15 minutes a day, get outside and walk. Maybe you dance if you don't like walking. I don't like swimming, so I'm never going to go swimming for my exercise. So you have to find something that's acceptable for you, right? So that you can stay healthy and well. All right, let's advance. The exercise is not only good for your limb system, but also good for your immune system. If you can get out and move, you probably start to realize that it's helping in such a variety of ways. It reduces inflammation, helps balance your immune system, and helps with your mood, and you'll feel better. So you'll feel better. I often run into people who say, I hate to exercise. Well, I get it. Not everybody likes exercising. I don't really like brushing my teeth, but I would not dream of not brushing my teeth, right? It's something that you just have to do. And I would say that some type of movement, you try not to, maybe if exercise is a naughty word to you, think of it as movement. Movement is good for my body. So if you find yourself that you're more sedentary, sitting in a chair, just getting up and doing some simple movement, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes throughout the day. Once you get into the habit and you have some particular movement exercises that you enjoy, it'll be a lot easier. Okay? All right, we're going to move forward here. breath work. I'm going to do a whole webinar for you on breath work, but the breath work is so important because it actually is going to help trigger the release of adrenaline and epinephrine, which is going to help your immune system. Again, I didn't want to get into a big long discussion about how these hormones affect your brain, how they affect your immune system. I just want to have you experience some tools and see if you get the same results that many people have doing some breath work. Breath work, I want to mention that there is a breath work called Wim Hof, and it's a really invigorating breath work, and a lot of people have found that it's really effective for when they start to feel sick. But I'm going to talk more about that later. But most of the breath work, and that's a more rapid breath work, but most of the breath work that I teach is very slow, and that's what we're going to practice. Very slow inhaling, slow exhaling, great for calming the nervous system, great for helping you with the immune system. So let's go ahead and take a break here where you're going to spotlight me. I'm going to get spotlighted here. There we go. All right. And I want you to find a comfortable place to sit where you can sit up straight and move. We're going to do some breathing together. Move so that I'm going to turn to the side so you can see this. So here is this is how I sit a lot of the time. But sitting up tall, press down into your sit bones, bring your shoulders over your hips and the back of your head in line with your spine. That's elegant posture there. All right, as often as you can, press down into your sit bones, lengthen up through the crown of your head, bring your shoulders over your hips and the back of your head in line with your spine. Now you've got that really elegant posture. You're just looking straight ahead. There you go. And if you want to close your eyes, you can. We're going to just practice some left nostril breathing to start with. Left nostril, remember what I talked about, that breathing through the left nostril? I talked about triggering the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your nervous system that says rest, digest. It triggers that kind of response. So you're going to close your right nostril. Close your right nostril. Just use your finger to close your right nostril. I know it's going to look odd because I'm on the screen, so it looks like I'm closing my left. But close your right nostril and just slowly inhale. Close your mouth. Slowly inhale through your left nostril. And slowly exhale through the same side. Stay with the left nostril. So if you're feeling stuffy or it's plugged up there, take your other finger and pull the skin away, and that really opens up that nasal passage. So do it a few more times, inhaling just through the left nostril and exhaling through the left nostril. So if you want a really easy, quick fix for how to start to relax, just do that left nostril breathing, and that will start to calm the nervous system. Okay, you can stop now. So still sitting up nice and tall. That's a really good way to help with the posture. Shoulders over the hips, back of your head in line with your spine. Eyes opened or closed. Take your next inhale into your upper back. I'm going to breathe, direct the breath to your upper back. And then take your time with your exhale. We're using just our nose to breathe if it's possible. Remember the nitric oxide release. So if you can breathe just through your nose as often as possible. And then see if you can get to a 5-second inhale and a 5-second exhale. Just do your best. This is another great breathing technique, really simple. Inhale to the count of 5. You can count for yourself. And exhale to the count of 5, taking your time. And I ask you to direct the inhale into your upper back so that you're not grabbing with these auxiliary breathing muscles in your throat and your chest. One more. Taking your time. 5-second inhale, 5-second exhale. Count for yourself. So let's check something out just to make sure that you're not breathing paradoxically. I want you to put a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly, right? And when you inhale, do you feel the expansion of your belly into your hands? So just try that. Do you feel that? You don't have to try to make it happen. It should happen just automatically because of how your diaphragm moves. And then exhale all the way. So the reason I ask you to breathe into your upper back is so that you're not grabbing here. And also it's to help that diaphragm really move. So if you're sucking your belly in when you inhale, that's breathing paradoxically. So best you can, just let the belly relax. Inhale. Belly expands on the inhale. And then it contracts. It pulls away from that lower hand on the exhale. I always like to check in to make sure that we're breathing with the normal rhythm of that diaphragm movement. All right. So we're going to practice another breath work called 4-7-8. And I'll count for you on this one. It's an inhale of 4, a hold your breath for 7, and exhale for 8. I really like this one because I can practice it and nobody knows I'm doing it. It's a really great way for me to downregulate, for me to calm the nervous system. I often use this in places like the dentist chair, stuck in traffic. All right, so again, eyes opened or closed, it doesn't matter. And I encourage you to think about directing the inhale into your upper back. So we're going to start with the inhale. You're going to inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so that's the 4-7-8. It's done through the nose if possible. I know some people, that's not the easiest thing to do, but if you can breathe through just your nose, that's how you would do that breath work. Last but not least, I want to show you one called Brahmari. I love this one for before bedtime, and it's pretty simple to do. You have to watch first because you end up closing your eyes when you're doing this or covering your eyes. So it's fingers together, covering the eyes, thumbs closing the ear like this. And then it's a big inhale. And then on the exhale, mouth closed, you hum, creating a vibration. Looks like this. So it's vibration happening, closing off the senses, the eyes and the ears, humming all the way through the exhale. It's a way of moving energy. You know how energy, you can feel when energy's stuck. If your chest is heavy, your heart's heavy, or your stomach is clenched up in a knot. So we're moving the energy in the body with this vibration. You can even think about what kind of tone or pitch you want to use for working on a particular area. So maybe it's the heart, so it might be a medium pitch versus a low pitch for the belly. All right, so we're going to do 3 rounds together. That means inhaling, humming, starting again. We'll do 3 rounds of that. Okay. All right, so take your hands, cover your eyes, close your ears, big inhale into your upper back. Inhale. All right. So that's called Brahmari or bee breath, in case you're interested in doing a little research on that. That's the name of that breath work. Okay. There are so many others to enjoy, and I love alternate nostril. That's the one where you close one side, inhale, close, exhale the other. There you go. All right. Okay. Let's go to the slide, back to the slideshow. So again, I wanted to talk about activating the sympathetic nervous system. A lot of times people will think that, hey, if I go out and exercise really, really hard, that's going to be, the best thing I can do for my body. It's nothing wrong with working out really hard, but you need to rest also. So going out and doing, full on 100%, 120%, 3 days in a row, you may find that you don't feel so well. All right, because it is activating the sympathetic nervous system and keeping it activated. So be sure that you're aware of keeping that balance, Okay, all right, you can advance. I've talked a lot about movement, getting out and being active. So I want to give you a really simple way to add some movement into your day. I know that some people getting up out of the chair is prohibitive. They are not mobile. So I'm going to do a few things where you're in the chair and then some things standing up. I love the standing warm-up sequence. It's really effective for mobilizing all the different joints. And the more you practice it, it'll just become second nature where you can start adding it into your day. Okay? So go ahead and have a strap. A strap could be a scarf, it could be a yoga strap, it could be a long dish towel, but it really be helpful if you have a strap. Okay? And I'm going to have the spotlight on me so that we can all right, go ahead and spotlight me. Grab my strap here. And we're going to do I don't know, maybe 10 minutes of movement here. All right. Now what's nice is you can always come back and watch this again. Put your hands on your lap. Again, that movement. Push down into your sitting bones. Lengthen up through the crown of your head. Bring your shoulders over your hips. That movement, see? Shoulders over hips. Back of your head in line with your spine. So you get that sensation of that really nice, elegant posture here. And let your elbows be really heavy so that you don't bring those ears up, the shoulders up to your ears. So let the elbows be really heavy, heavy, heavy in the elbows. There you go. All right. And then a very simple movement to start with. This is so good for our nervous system, for our spine. I want you to just very gently nod your head up and down. It's barely moving. If you can't see my head moving, that's how subtle it is. But just nod your head ever so gently up and down. What we're doing is we're mobilizing the top two vertebrae at the top of your spine called atlas and axis. So move your chin up and down, looking straight ahead. There you go. Think about all the way up at the top of your spine, right by your skull, moving from that area. And then turn your head side to side ever so gently here, just like you're saying no thanks. Subtle movement, mobilizing the top two vertebrae at the top of your spine so that you can liberate the rest of your spine. So we want that mobilization, we want movement at the top of the spine so we get movement at the rest of the spine. All right, stop there. And then with the tip of your nose, I want you to paint in the air a little figure eight. Paint a figure eight. Maybe you'll start to feel some really nice crunchies in there. And go the other direction. Can feel really nice. Turn your figure eight on its side and it becomes an infinity sign. There you go. And go the other direction. All right. Take that strap, put it underneath the ball of your foot. You're going to have the strap under the ball of your foot. With the strap under the ball of your foot, you're going to press into the strap with the ball of your foot and press your heel forward at the same time. Press into the strap with the ball of your foot and press your heel forward. There you go. You can lift your foot up a little higher if you want. Relax your shoulders. There you go. Hold both straps in your hand and go out to the side. Come back. Out to the side and come back. And then let's go to the other foot. Strap under the ball of the foot. Press your heel forward. Relax your shoulders. Lift the leg a little higher if you want. It doesn't have to be all the way up. Both straps into the left hand, go out to the side. Go back and forth a little bit. There you go. And then you can take the strap. I'm going to use the strap for the shoulders. Give it a little snap. Your wrists are in front of your shoulders. Inhale into your upper back and bring the arms up and down and up. Lift from your upper arms and down and lift up and down. Turn to the side, turn to the other side. There you go. And you can set that strap aside. We're going to come up to standing. And coming up to standing, let's do something called lion's breath. I love this breath work because it's a really great way to clear the cobwebs. You can open your feet a little wide. I'm going to bring up your hands like they're lion's paws. So I do fists first, and then I'm going to open the lion's paws. A little bend to the knees. It's a big inhale. And when you exhale, you roar like the lion. You stick out your tongue and look up at your third eye, cross-eyed. Looks like this. It's kind of funny. All right, here we go. Let's do it 3 times together. Clear out the cobwebs. Here we go. In our stance, lion's paws, big inhale. And that is our lion's breath. Let's open the feet a little wider. Bend your knees. Put your hips back a little bit. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see. Hips back. This is called sumo pose. Think of a sumo wrestler. There you go. And then straighten your legs. That's it. Bend your knees and straighten your legs. We're moving the sitting bones here. All right, and then step your feet together. We're gonna do a little standing warm up. If you wanna have your chair to hold on to, you can have your chair. I'm going to start with just shaking a leg. Shake the other leg. This is good for the limb system too. Shake one arm, shake the other arm, do a little bit of bouncing. There you go. Bring your arms up. Imagine your hands are like heavy bricks and let them drop and swing back up and drop and drop. Then you're going to open your feet up a little wider here, toes pointed out. And let your arms dangle and turn back and forth. You just la-di-da, just enjoying that movement. We're trying to get all the joints moving here. Then get more enthusiastic. And notice how I'm letting I'm going to turn my back to you. I'm going to let my back of my hand slap against the kidney area. Go ahead and get real enthusiastic here. The kidney area in Chinese medicine is where we store energy. So you're waking up energy here. All right, and then you can slow it down. Good. And once again, bring your arms up and drop and up and drop. Do a little more bouncing. Put your hands on your hips. You can do a little dance step here. Try to do this without looking at your feet. Bring your left foot around and make a T. So your toes are touching the arch of your foot. You brought your pelvis around. And then bring it back and make the upside down T. So try doing this looking straight ahead. Bring your foot around, make a T. And then back. Remember I said I want to mobilize all the joints. We're working with the pelvis here. And bring it around and come back. Let's do the other side. Bring your foot around. Bring the whole pelvis around and back. And around and back. And one more time. around, and back. I'm going to turn to the side because I want you to see what's going on here. We're going to move the sitting bones. Sitting bone, that's the bony part of your pelvis that touches the chair when you sit. You can touch that, it belongs to you. All right, so little bend at the knees. Bring your sitting bones forward. Don't do it a lot because you're really load bearing here. So just sitting bones forward a little bit. And then sitting bones back. Can you see that movement? Really isolating movement to the pelvis. Sitting bones forward. Sitting bones back. Take your time. Draw the sitting bones forward and back. We're going to add the arms to this. Sitting bones come forward. Arms come forward. Back of the hands touch. Sitting bones back. Arms open wide. Sitting bones forward. Arms come forward. Sitting bones back. Arms go back. Do that a few more times. You might notice when the sitting bones come forward, there's a strengthening, a lengthening in the lower back, and a strengthening in the back as well. And when your arms go back, can you feel a little toning or stretching in the belly? All right. And then you can come up to standing, pause right here. Shift your weight a little bit over to the left and to the right. Forward and back. Finding your center of balance. Now we're going to do some heel to toe walking. This is for our balance. Hands on your hips. Look straight ahead. Walk forward, heel to toe. Best you can. And then walk back. Toe to heel. Working on our balance. There you go. Let's do it one more time. Come forward. There are little activities that you can do throughout the day to work on mobility, to work on strength and balance, to get you moving. All right. So pause right here. I want to show you a movement called projected lunge, and I'm going to bring the chair just in case you want to use the chair. Projected lunge looks like this. So take a look first before you do it. It's a big step back. Your front knee bends because this is really working on lengthening in the hip flexors and working on balance. You can have your hands on the chair or you can have your hands at your heart. Lengthen through the crown of the head back through your tailbone. This is called projected lunge. Okay, so I'm going to guide you through it. Maybe you have a chair. Maybe you do it without the chair. Hands on your hips if you're not using the chair. Big step back, land on the ball of your foot, front knee bends. And then hinge at the hips. So first, take your time, stay right here. Hinging forward at your hips. Now bring your hands to your heart. You can hold on to the chair or you can have your hands at your heart. Lengthen through the crown of your head. So if my hand is right there, press through the crown of your head and go the opposite direction. Reach through your tailbone. So you find lots of length in your spine. Don't forget to take some nice long inhales and even longer exhales. The exhale, it helps calm the nervous system. You can hold onto the chair to come forward if you'd like. We'll go the other direction. We'll step back with the opposite foot. Come upright first to start. Shoulders over the hips. So this back knee needs to bend, that's fine. It can be a little tight here. Hinge forward at the hips. Either holding onto your chair or hands to your heart. Find that length in the spine. Reach forward through the crown of the head, back through the tailbone. Add a smile wherever you want. All right. And hands to hips or hold on to your chair and come forward. And that is our projected lunge. I like that pose, that movement, because it works with opening up this area, this hip flexor area that often gets really tight when we do a lot of sitting. So it's good for balance, it's good for the spine, and it's good for the hip flexors as well. Coming back to the chair for a second for a twist. We're going to twist to the left first. So put your left hand on the chair seat. Bring your right arm up. Turn and look over your left shoulder. Press down into your sitting bones. Press down into the chair and lift up through the crown of your head and twist a little bit more. There you go. Pull just the belly button to the right. Just your belly button. And come back to center. You're going to twist the other way. Right hand on the chair. Left arm up. Twisting over to the right. Looking over your right shoulder. Relax that left shoulder. And then pull just the belly button to the left. Just the belly button as you twist right. And then come back to center. Last but not least, I want to show you a pose called legs up the wall. This is a pose that is really nice to do to take a break throughout the day. Instead of maybe you take naps, or maybe you don't want to take a nap, but you want to rest a little bit. Legs up the wall is a really great way to calm your nervous system. If you don't have a wall nearby, you could use your chair and put the backs of your calves, you put your calves on the backs of your legs on the chair. But I'm going to show you how to do it at the wall. So I have a blanket here that's rolled up. So if you don't have a blanket or something similar to this, you could use a couple of pillows. All right. And it's about, I don't know, 5 inches high. I'm going to show you how to get into the position. Sit so that you can really put your bottom on the wall, as if you're going to sit on the wall. This way, when you roll over, you're going to be, so my mat's screwed up there, you're going to be nice and close to the wall. So you get close to the wall, maybe you inchworm yourself up a little bit closer. Feet are on the wall. Push your feet into the wall and lift your hips. Push your feet into the wall, lift the hips, and put the little bolster, blanket, pillow, cushion under your hips. What happens here is you've brought your heart higher than your head. When you bring your heart higher than your head, it triggers the parasympathetic nervous system, which we know is the rest and digest. So this is a really great way to take a little break. So I'm going to be quiet for just 30 seconds here so you can have that experience. All right, bend your knees, lift your hips, remove the pillow or cushion, roll to your side, and come on up. That is called legs up the wall. It's a wonderful pose for taking a little restorative break for yourself. Okay, we can go back to that slideshow. Before we do a little guided meditation, I wanted to talk about a couple of ideas or tools that I've used and have done some research on that are really helpful for when you're sick. One of them is using spirulina, which is a fairly inexpensive product. You just mix it in some water. Another is to use acupuncture. I wanted to present those two ideas to you. Let's go ahead and advance. Supplements. Wow. There is a lot of money spent on supplements, isn't there? And there are so many different kinds of supplements that you can take and so much information out there. I have worked a lot with supplements. I've worked with professionals when it comes to supplements. And I'm going to distill down. I'm going to distill what I've learned and what I think is the most important. So again, this is not a prescription for you. I'm not telling you to throw out your supplements. I'm going to just share with you what I think are the most important ones to take. So magnesium, B12, zinc, vitamin D, fish oil, and vitamin C. Those are the most important ones. The zinc is so important. A lot of people do not take zinc. I know that they say, no, it makes me sick to my stomach. If you take it with food, if you get the right kind of zinc, I never have issues with it, but very important for the endocrine system. And the endocrine system is it's the blockbuster of our health, right? Okay. So that's my thought on supplements. I know a lot of people take things like melatonin to go to sleep. I talked about this in my other webinar. Melatonin is only it's not a go to sleep, stay asleep thing. It just triggers the onset of sleep. So, and people who take melatonin, they fall asleep on average about 9 minutes faster than people who don't take it. So, you know, you got to look at what the evidence shows and what's really the right thing for you. And don't knock the placebo effect. If you're taking something and you say, I don't care, it really helps me, don't knock it. If it's working, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, we can go forward. So I've mentioned to you that I want to share this deep rest guided meditation. There's a lot of names for it. Some people call it yoga nidra. Some people call it non-sleep deep rest. Some people call it eye rest. But it's a really wonderful way to infuse your immune system. It's a great way to reduce stress. It's a fabulous tool for finding better sleep. We're going to do, let's see, we're probably going to do about, I'd say a 15-minute guided meditation. And you want to make sure that you're not going to be disturbed. So you want to turn your cell phone off. You want to have a nice place to lie down. You want to make sure that you're warm enough or cool enough. If you need something underneath your knees. But I want you to be able to lie still for about 15 minutes and get to experience this lovely, lovely non-sleep deep rest. The idea behind this is that you're going to deeply rest your body so that your mind can rest. So it's not like you're not thinking. Your mind's still going to be alert because you're going to be listening to my voice and following the instructions. But by doing this deep rest, it's really going to help you with triggering that immune response and helping you find better sleep. Okay? All right. So go ahead and get yourself really comfortable. I'm going to give you a few seconds here. And please note there'll be a period of in the guided meditation where you won't even hear me talking. So don't think I left. I'm not going to leave. So find a comfortable place to lie down. Get all your little wigglies out. Again, you want to make sure you have your cell phone silenced. Make sure your dog or cat knows it's quiet time. All right. So begin now to let go. Nothing to do, nothing to get done. Just listen to my voice. Have focused awareness here so that your body can rest deeply. Set the intention to simply be present. Set the intention to simply be present and to rest your body. That's your intention. Your eyes are closed. You're releasing your entire body. Take a big inhale. Hold the breath for 3 seconds. And then exhale all the way, nice and slow. Let's do that again. Inhale all the way. Take time. Hold for 3 seconds. Exhale completely. Once again, big inhale. Hold your breath, count to 3. And exhale all the way, letting go, resting completely. Let the roof of your mouth relax. If you're not sure how to do that, imagine that your upper back teeth, those upper molars, could widen away from each other, relaxing the roof of your mouth. Let your lower jaw soften. Let it unhinge away from your upper jaw. Let your eyes be heavy in the sockets. Let your cheeks soften. Become aware of your entire body relaxing, letting go. You're relaxing into present moment awareness, effortless presence. Be aware that your body is resting. Your mind gradually becoming quiet. Anywhere you sense that you are less than completely relaxed, soften that area. Focus on that area. Inhale. And with the exhale, let go of tension. So do a little body scan from your head to your toes, noticing if there's any tension, breathing into that area, softening and letting go. Feeling calm and restful. With your eyes closed, picture yourself sitting in a movie theater with a big screen in front of you. You can notice the smell, maybe you smell popcorn, maybe there's some music playing. Just picture yourself sitting in a movie theater looking at a big screen. And on the screen, you see the number 10. See the number 10 best you can. Use your power of visualization. See the number 10 on the screen. And then see the number 9. See the number 8 as you get more and more relaxed. 7, 6, feeling more relaxed, letting go. 5, 4, completely relaxed. 3, 2, 1, 0. Completely relaxed. Now we'll start to move awareness around your body. You don't have to move at all. Please don't move. Just put your mind's eye. See in your mind's eye, feel the body part that I name. Put your awareness on your right leg. See it, feel it. Feel your right leg from your thigh to your knee. Upper leg, thigh to knee. And then knee to foot. See it and feel it. Feel your right foot. Sole of the foot, the top of the foot. Feel your pinky toe all the way to the toenail. Fourth toe. Third toe. Second toe. Big toe. All the way to the toenail. Now move your awareness over to your left leg. See it, feel it, your left leg. And then from your hip to your knee, that part of your leg. And then your knee to your ankle, the calf, the shin. Put your awareness on your pinky toe, feel it. Feel even the toenail. Fourth toe. Third toe. Second toe. Big toe. All the way to the toenail. Feel your big toe. Bring your awareness to your right shoulder. Feel your whole right arm from the shoulder to your wrist. Feel it and see it. From the shoulder to the elbow. From the elbow to the wrist. to your right hand, pinky finger to the fingernail, ring finger to the fingernail. Same for the middle finger, index finger, thumb, palm of your hand, back of your hand, feeling your whole right hand. Move your awareness to your left arm from the shoulder to the wrist. Feel, see your left arm. From the shoulder to the elbow, see it and feel it. From the elbow to the wrist, see it and feel it. Pinky finger, ring finger, all the way to the fingernail, middle finger, index finger, and thumb. Palm of the hand, back of the hand. Bring your awareness to your back body, feeling your shoulder blades, feeling your spine. Bring your awareness to the front of your torso, feeling your collarbones, right collarbone, left collarbone, right side ribs, left side ribs. Bring your awareness to the top of your head, to the back of your head. To the front of your throat. Feel your hair on your head. Be aware of your hair on your head or just your scalp. Bring your awareness to your right eyebrow, right eyelid, the eyeball itself. Your right nostril. See it and feel it. Right cheek. Left eyebrow. Left eyelid. Left eyeball. Left nostril. Left cheek. Be aware of the roof of your mouth, the smoothness of the roof of your mouth, the roughness of your tongue. Feel your tongue. Be aware of your upper row of teeth, your lower row of teeth, your upper lip, your lower lip, your chin, right ear, left ear. Feel your whole face. Feel your body resting, completely at ease, body resting. Imagine that you're at the bottom of a staircase and you're going to climb the staircase. There are 10 steps to the staircase and you're going to feel your body moving up the staircase. Starting step 1, you can hold a railing. Step 2, climbing up the staircase. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're at the top of the staircase. There's a landing and you see a door. And you know that when you open this door, you're going to enter your private sanctuary. You're going to enter a room where you feel the most at peace. Put your hand on the doorknob and open the door and enter the room. This is your sanctuary. There are no people or animals in this room, but anything you want can be in this room other than people and animals. So this is your room, your peaceful place to create. So best you can, Feel yourself in this room and start to create the room. Notice the size and shape of the room. If there are any windows, anything on the walls, any other doors. Place where you feel the most relaxed and comfortable. What do you want in this room? Your sanctuary. And what's the ambiance in the room? Do you smell a fragrance? Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it bright? Is it dark? Do you hear music? What's the ambiance? What else is in the room? Maybe there's furniture, maybe there's art, maybe there's a swimming pool, whatever you want. This is your sanctuary, the place where you are the most at ease, the most comfortable. Create your sanctuary. And then find a comfortable place to sit or lie down in your sanctuary room. Feel how relaxed and at peace you are. Know you can come back here anytime. Say to yourself, I will get the best night's sleep tonight. I will get the best night's sleep tonight. Take a moment to lie here, completely relaxed, body completely relaxed, resting in this present moment awareness. If the mind starts to wander, come back to sound and focus on any sound, letting that tether you to this moment. Remember, tonight you'll get a great night's sleep. Without opening your eyes, see the room that you're in. We're going to start to count to come out of this deep rest. We'll count with 1 to 10, becoming more and more awake. 2, coming back, completely awake. 3, coming into the present moment. Maybe you start to move your toes, your hands, start to move around a little bit. 4, 5, open your eyes. Go ahead and open your eyes, becoming more awake. 6, 7, 8, more and more awake. 9, 10, completely awake, refreshed, awake, relaxed. Welcome back. This is a lovely way to take a break through the day. to help boost your immune system, to help you find better sleep, to reduce stress. There are all different ways to do it. And as I said, it goes by different names. Non-sleep deep rest is one of them. Yoga Nidra is another one. We'll be doing more of this in future webinars, longer versions of talking more about the benefits and what's really happening for you going into that brainwave state called theta brainwave. All right, we can go back to that slideshow now. Resources. I like to make sure that you get resources if you want to read a little bit more or listen to something. So this is a really great YouTube presentation on your immune system, and then another one on your lymphatic system. And then I mentioned that Wim Hof, that's a breathing technique. I've used it when I start to feel a little sick. It's pretty intense. I didn't want to have you practice it because I don't know if it's the best thing for everybody. You know, some people have conditions, whether it's a hiatal hernia or high blood pressure. So there's some techniques I don't really teach live or in recordings, actually. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Remember, you're going to have a recording, so you can come back to this. There is a nice article on mind-body immune connection on spirulina and also about anxiety. You know, there's this term that I wish it was, it sounds worse than it is, psychosomatic. And you probably heard the people talk about how most illness is psychosomatic. That, to me, that makes it sound like it's all in your head. And that's really not what we're saying. What we're saying is psychosomatic is how we think, how we feel creates a reaction in the brain, so that what we're doing here affects the whole body. And so that's where the relationship with anxiety, stress, grief comes into play when we start to talk about our immune system and our mindset. Okay, just wanted to mention that if someone's saying, oh, it's psychosomatic, it's not a put down. It's just talking about the relationship between the mind and the body. All right, and then the next slide. Well, here's a video that I made with a friend, colleague. She is the person who introduced me to lymphatic drainage. As I mentioned, that's me. Just wanted to throw that in there. It's me when I was going through chemotherapy. Yep, you lose all your hair. And when I was going through chemotherapy, because I'd had the surgery where they remove the lymph nodes, then I had some lymphedema. And I was lucky enough to meet this person, Kimby, who is an expert when it comes to self-lymphatic drainage and doing post-surgical recovery and working with scar tissue. And so she was kind enough to do a video recording. Both of us are in that. I'm more of the assistant student. But if you want to watch a video recording of what we went over a little more in depth, that's the link for that. Okay. Again, you'll get the link to this. This will be up for you guys to review, so you don't have to worry about writing things down. But you can always take a screenshot if you want. Okay, let's go forward. If for some reason something I said wasn't clear or you want to have a further conversation, I do want to make sure that you can get a hold of me. So that's why I do include my email. I am really honored and touched that you joined me today. I hope that you've found something that will be of use. I hope you find something that will lead you to better health and healthy aging. For now, be well, take care until we meet again. Thank you.
people today. They could spend half their lives over 50. That's a lot of living. So it helps to have a wise friend and fierce defender in your corner. A friend like AARP. So your health lives longer,
This is just slow-mo karate?
Just slow-mo karate.
your money lives longer,
I just bought that.
I just sold that.
and your happiness lives longer. That's why the younger you are, the more you need AARP. Join today.
Hello, my name is Teresa Collins, and I am an Executive Council member for AARP Illinois. AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan member organization, has been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 60 years. AARP Illinois is proud to represent all those who are 50 plus in Illinois and our 1.7 million members. And we thank you for the opportunity to be your wise friend and fierce defender. Our mission is to enhance the quality of life for all as we age, leading positive social change and delivering value to members through advocacy, service, and information. At AARP, we know that staying fit is one of the pillars of healthy living, and we want to help you on your fitness journey. Physical activity can boost memory, improve thinking, and even lower dementia risk. It's not too late to start. AARP is proud to offer today's virtual event to start or continue you on your fitness journey. Have a wonderful class and enjoy.
Hello and welcome. I'm Diane Butera, and this is your webinar, Breathe for Better Health. I am so glad you made it today, or perhaps you're watching a recording. That is fine too. First want to thank Teresa Jones over at AARP Illinois for this opportunity to teach what I love. And I also should say thanks to Ben, because he runs this whole process of getting this recording made. So thanks, Ben. I'd like to first start with the format for the class. So we're going to go to the webinar outline. There we go. Today's presentation, you can see I'll do a little introduction. We're going to talk about the physiology of breathing. What are the mechanics, both the mechanics and the chemical processes by which we breathe. We'll talk a little bit about the research of breathing. I'm a big advocate for looking at solid research, evidence-based information. So I'm just not throwing things out willy-nilly to you. I want to give you some of the information that I have gleaned from looking at research. Then we get to do some fun stuff. We get to practice some breathing and some movement together. I'll offer you a few resources, and of course, I'll review for you. Do not worry about taking notes. You will get an opportunity to watch this again and again if you so choose. So it is recorded, and you'll have a link, and you'll get to come back to those resources or maybe review a particular type of breath work that was important to you. All right, so in terms of why I teach this class, I am a movement educator. I'm also a hypnotherapist. I work with helping people find deep relaxation to make changes in their lives. I am a big advocate for healthy aging. And I don't know about you, but for me, I got a wake-up call. I always knew my health was important. We all know our health is important, but sometimes you have that moment in your timeline where you get that bonk on the head that says, you'd better pay better attention. And mine was a cancer diagnosis. And what I want to say about that, because I'm not here to lecture anybody, I'm just here to give information. It's not a prescription. It's just, hey, here's some information for you. But what I want to say about my wake-up call is that when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was really fortunate that I already had a healthy reserve. I was already doing a lot of things right. I had a good body weight. I didn't have to worry about being overweight. I was already exercising. I was using mindfulness tools. I had healthy relationships. I already knew a little bit about breathing and how breathing helps me with my wellness. So I had a really good foundation, but it was that wake-up call. Like, you got to keep adding to this toolbox. You can't let go here because you had that background, because you had that healthy foundation. Then going through cancer wasn't quite as challenging as it could have been. And so I only got more and more interested in what are those tools? What can I do to stay healthy? And because I love to do research and I love learning, and because I want to age as well as I can, I kept going with all this. And so, if you've been following me, I teach a lot of webinars related to healthy aging. We just did one on the immune system and how to do your own lymphatic drainage, which was, I think, really cool for people. But today I want to talk about breathing. And I find this to be so exciting because there are some simple, easy things to do that will immediately give us a big boost in our well-being, in our health, in our attitude, in our energy level, in our sleep. And it's so simple by using our breath. It's one of those things, kind of like sleep, I think, where it's really been undervalued what our breath can do for us. So therefore, we're going to do a lot of breathing together. But first, I want to give you some background. So if it seems a little tedious, like why is she talking about the phrenic nerve and why do I need to know about CO2? I want you to have some background so that this makes sense to you why I'm saying this is why we're doing this breath retention, or this is why we're doing long, slow breathing, because there is a method to this that is truly based on some solid information. So I'm going to give you that information and then we're going to practice some breathing together. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. How do we breathe? Well, we have muscles that help us breathe. Those lungs that you have, they're pretty much passive air sacs. And in order for them to inflate and deflate, some muscles have to be working. And there are a couple of primary muscles that work. The primary muscles that work for us are the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles. But we're going to focus here on the diaphragm. It's highlighted right there for you. It's kind of like a mushroom, I think. And it's kind of interesting how the diaphragm moves to help us inflate those lungs. And you're going to get to see a video that I think captures it beautifully. It's a real short video that I love showing. But just remember that if you're feeling tired, emotionally off balance, or drained, just a few minutes of diaphragmatic breathing can really restore your energy. All right. We're going to use strengthening breath control to really help you attune to your physical, mental, and emotional states, anchoring you to the present moment. There's that mindfulness word, anchoring you to the present moment using mindfulness with our breathing. All right, so there's the diaphragm muscle. So I mentioned that. Let's move on and look at the next. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about the diaphragm first. So the muscles involved in breathing, the diaphragm, the intercostal muscles, the abdominal muscles, and accessory muscles. So you'll notice that I said in the bottom there, it's important to note that the specific muscles involved in breathing may vary depending on individual factors, such as age, fitness level, and breathing conditions. So that's important. So you know right now that the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles are the primary breathing muscles. But what happens if, let's say, you have an upper respiratory condition? Well, that means that you start to use muscles in your neck and in your chest to get that breath. And that's why you might see people who have asthma or history of asthma have overdeveloped muscles in their throat. That sternocleidomastoid muscle, it's right here. You can kind of grab it. That gets overdeveloped because we're kind of grabbing with the breath instead of using the full movement of the diaphragm. If we are weak in our abdominal muscles, then the abdominal muscles can't support. So that's why I put that important notice there about it's really going to depend on what our age is, what our fitness level is, and if we have any breathing conditions. We really do want to get back to using the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles because those are the primary muscles. Okay, so I keep mentioning intercostal muscles. What are intercostal muscles? Let's move to the next slide so you can see what those look like. There they are. They're in red. They're you can see those are the ribs, and the intercostal muscles are right there, and they help with moving the pressure in and out of the diaphragm. So it's pressure that's really important that happens there. Yeah, so I want you to be able to see that sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that's why we're going to get to watch that video in just a moment. So why do we want to do this diaphragmatic breathing? Why do we want the support of these primary breathing muscles? Again and again, I'm going to keep reminding you that when we have good breathing habits, that we can increase our own lung function, so we can take deep breaths and have good lung capacity, that we can activate something called the parasympathetic nervous system. Some of you may already know what that is, like you don't need to tell me, but let me just review it momentarily for a few people who may not know what that is. So there are things that happen in our body that we don't have to think about, right? You don't need to make your heart beat. You don't have to get up in the morning and say, okay, heart, start beating, right? Because thank goodness it does the job for us. There are a lot of things that happen in terms of digestion that we don't have to think about. We don't have to think about blinking our eyes. It happens. That is the sympathetic nervous system. That is our nervous system that is taking over and taking care of us. There are two parts to the nervous system. One is the parasympathetic and one is the sympathetic. Has nothing to do with sympathy. I don't know why they're called that. But the sympathetic nervous system is in charge of things like fight or flight. That's not all that it's in charge of, but it's what gets us up and going. It helps us run, it helps us lift, it helps us do things that require more energy, more mental excitement. That's the sympathetic nervous system. And for many of us, we spend a lot of time, I call it upregulation, with that sympathetic nervous system really activated. It's not a problem that it's activated, but it doesn't need to stay activated all the time because we need the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest. Super important that we know how to do that as well, right? All right, so that's what the breathing is going to help us with, is activating the parasympathetic nervous system. There are techniques that activate the sympathetic. We're not going to practice those today, but I just want you to know that they are available as well. All right, so good breathing also can help promote digestion, and best of all, with good sleep. All right, so now you've seen the intercostal muscles. That's what I just talked about. It would have been nice if I had moved to that slide. Sorry about that. But there's that review of what happens when we use good diaphragmatic breathing. All right. So you can review this, and I'm hoping that it gets you excited, thinking, yes, I want all of those things. All right. So we can move to the next slide. We're going to practice a breathing technique right now. If I want you to understand what diaphragmatic breathing is. It's an interesting term, I think, because all breathing uses your diaphragm. So wouldn't all breathing be diaphragmatic breathing? What we really mean when we refer to diaphragmatic breathing is slowing down the breath and getting the full movement of the diaphragm. And in a minute, you're going to see the video that shows that movement of the diaphragm going up and down, inflating and deflating the lungs. But I want you to practice it first so you get a sense of what is diaphragmatic breathing. Okay? So go ahead and put a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly. It tethers you to your body. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor and sit up tall. So meaning that your shoulders are over your hips, leaning forward. Shoulders are over the hips and back of your head in line with your spine. Put a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly, kind of up higher on your tummy rather than your low belly here. I just want you to notice what happens with your hands as you breathe. So if you want to close your eyes, you can, but what we're going to do is work on slowing down our breath. And one of the cues I'm going to give you to help you get that full movement of your diaphragm is I'm going to ask you to take your inhale into your upper back. Inhale into your upper back. Your lungs go all the way up here, all the way up almost to the shoulders. Your lungs go almost all the way up to the collarbone. So we want to get that full movement of the diaphragm. So I'm going to ask you to take an inhale through your nose and inhale into your upper back. And then slowly exhale. And I'd like you to use just your nose if you can. If you can use just your nose for breathing, that would be really great. If you can't, don't worry about it. You decide how you want to make this happen. So just do a few rounds of slowing your breath, inhaling into your upper back, and taking your time exhaling all the way. We're not in any hurry. Do you notice anything happening with the lower hand? Do you feel maybe the belly expanding a bit on the inhale? That's because the diaphragm is releasing downward, putting some pressure on those organs, so the ribs have to expand. And when you exhale, the diaphragm lifts back up, and that's why you feel a little contraction in your belly. stay with this and see if you can get to 5.5 seconds on the inhale and 5.5 seconds on the exhale. So by the way, I'm more interested that you get the longer exhale. So if one has to be longer, I'd like it to be the exhale. That's what's triggering the parasympathetic nervous system, helping you to downregulate, helping you to rest and digest. I'll talk a bit about why nasal breathing is so important, but please, if you can, breathe through your nose as much as possible. Notice if you're grabbing with muscles in your throat. See if you can direct the breath into your upper back. That might help with that habit you have. It really does become a habit. So this is diaphragmatic breathing. Slow, relaxed, allowing the diaphragm to do its natural movement. I'll stop there. If you happen to notice that when you inhale, you suck your belly in, that would be a really good cue to take a look at your breathing pattern, because physically, physiologically, the way that breathing works is when you inhale, the belly should expand. All right. So I just want to say that just in case you're breathing what we call paradoxically. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. I would be remiss if I don't mention something called the phrenic nerve. So the phrenic nerve, why is it important? Well, how do muscles move? Well, the diaphragm and the intercostal muscle, well, the diaphragm needs the phrenic nerve to move. And the reason I bring that up is because there are things happening when we do our breathing that really help the phrenic nerve activate. It's really responsible for the motor control of the diaphragm, which is essential for breathing. Slow breathing signals the phrenic nerve to engage the diaphragm more effectively for deeper breath. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to watch a video. I have the link here so that when you review, you'll be able to use that link and watch it on your own because it's not embedded in here. So you will have to copy that.
The primary muscle of respiration is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a thin, dome-shaped layer of muscle and tendon that separates the abdominal cavity from the chest cavity. It gains its shape from its attachments and from the organs that surround it, especially the heart, lungs, and liver. The diaphragm attaches at the costals along the lower rib cage, high in the front at the sternum, and deeply in the back along the spine. The diaphragm also attaches to itself via a central tendon, making the diaphragm one of the unique muscles of the body. The diaphragm uses its central tendon and its attachments as leverage to flatten during inhalation. The expansion of the ribs comes from the resistance of the internal organs to downward movement. As the internal organs are slow to move, the ribs expand to make room for the lungs. While the diaphragm attaches at the bottom of the ribs, its range of motion never reaches that low in the body. As seen from below, we get a sense of the full range of motion of the diaphragm as it would glide over the aorta, the vena cava, the esophagus, and the internal organs. For more information, visit www.3dyoga.com. Tendon
Great.
that separates.
We can go ahead. All right, so I hope you got a sense of how the movement of the diaphragm causes the belly to expand and then the belly to contract as it moves up and down. And you'll get an opportunity to watch that video again. All right, we can go forward here. I included this picture because I wanted you to see those lungs in the back body. And remember I said they come all the way up to almost to your shoulders? Look at that. And you saw in the other picture that they came up almost all the way up to the collarbones. So sometimes having that visual of understanding where the lungs are in the body can really help us direct the breath so we get a bigger, fuller breath. Okay, let's move on. As I mentioned before, nasal breathing is so much better for us than breathing through our mouth. Of course, I can't breathe through my nose right now because I'm doing an activity that prohibits that. If you're doing heavy exercise, then maybe you wouldn't be doing just nasal breathing. But for most of our activities through most of our day, trying to breathe just through your nose will be very beneficial. So why do I have this diagram up here? So what this diagram is illustrating is here's a nose breather and here's a mouth breather. And there's a lot of evidence that shows us that that as we evolved as human beings, we started breathing more through our mouth, and it started really changing the shape of our jaw. And it's quite interesting, the research that shows they'll do research where they close the nostrils and what happens to the nervous system when we can't breathe through our nose. And over time, there are physiological changes. Breathing through the nose, I mentioned that there's mechanical process and chemical processes that happen when we breathe. Breathing through the nose releases nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is one of those chemicals that is important for improving the flow and oxygen delivery to your body's tissues and organs. All right, it can also help lower blood pressure and improve lung function. More nasal breathing is needed for all of us. Give it a try. And if you find that it's difficult, one of the things you can do is get a little piece of medical tape or first aid tape. It's blue usually, comes on a roll like Scotch tape, and just put it on your mouth. It won't be sticky. And try walking around for, I don't know, start with maybe 10 minutes and see how that feels so that you get more accustomed. When you go out walking, see if you can walk at a pace where you can breathe just through your nose. So if you're running or being more active, it is more challenging, but maybe slow it down so you can breathe just through your nose and get all those great benefits. We're going to talk more about nasal breathing and snoring later on. We'll come back to that. All right, we'll go to the next slide. So again, there's the mechanics of breathing, and you saw that with that video about how the diaphragm moves and how it helps inflate and deflate the lungs. CO2, carbon dioxide, gets a bad rap. We really need CO2. It is so important. Carbon dioxide is what's going to help the hemoglobin. And I'm not going to get into the whole process there, but we have to have CO2. When we have too much CO2, yes, that's a problem. And if we don't have enough CO2, that's also a problem. Okay. So believe it or not, in most cases, getting more CO2 equates to our cells getting more oxygen. All right. So maybe we can look at CO2 a little differently here. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Snoring. There's a family taping there. Snoring. So I prefer the tape going across rather than the way they have it there. If you are a snorer or you sleep next to a snorer, this might be some really interesting information for you. By wearing this little piece of tape at night when you go to sleep, it's going to keep your mouth closed, and that way you can only breathe through your nose, and it's pretty difficult to snore with your mouth closed. Not saying that it's impossible, but it's much more challenging. And people who have adjusted to this using the tape, having the mouth closed, are finding that they're getting a much better night's sleep. So is their partner, if that happens to be the case. All right, so give it a try. And if you're thinking, oh, I couldn't sleep with that, it feels too awkward or claustrophobic. Again, just try that little exercise of wearing it around the house, wearing your piece of tape and getting more accustomed to it. And I can testify firsthand that it makes such a difference. My husband's a snorer and he wears the tape. And it's interesting because he also wears a watch that tells him how he slept. I don't know why he needs a watch to tell him how he sleeps, but he wears a watch. And he said, it's so interesting. Whenever I use the tape, my sleep scores are so much better. Anyway, I think that's fascinating. So give it a try if you're a snorer, or buy a package of tape for someone who might need it. All right, let's go ahead and go forward. So I mentioned about the intercostal muscles, those muscles that are between the ribs, and how important they are to breathing. And if we have a habit of being hunched over, or we have work or activities that bring our arms forward, bring the shoulders forward, we start collapsing in the chest. Imagine what that's doing to the intercostal muscles. And so I'm going to move back a little bit so you can see me a little bit better here. So if you have to do work that requires you to do a lot of sitting, and you've all heard the advice, get up and every 20 minutes and move, so that you can get more release in the muscles, so you're not stiff, you're not hunched over. And a big part of that, by the way, is your psoas muscle, which is a hip flexor muscle. So that's another conversation. We'll talk about that when I do the webinar on your hips and back. But that psoas muscle, I'll stand up here. That psoas muscle is in here. And here's an interesting fun fact. That psoas muscle actually interdigitates with muscles of the diaphragm. So think about this. If you're sitting a lot, that psoas muscle gets shorter and tighter. So when you go to stand up, it's attached on the back, tight. So you get that kind of pulling achiness. But think about this. If the psoas muscle is short and tight, what does that mean to the movement of the diaphragm? Because they're kind of connected right there, right? All right. And so we say the state of the psoas is the state of the diaphragm. The state of the diaphragm is the state of the psoas. All right. That's another conversation, and I will talk about that more in my webinar on hips and back. But I just wanted to mention that sitting for long periods of time does have an impact on our breathing, not just because of the psoas muscle diaphragm relationship, but also because of what's happening to the intercostal muscles. They're not going to stay strong for us if we don't sit up tall, if we don't do activity, if we're collapsing. So we want to work on opening this area in the torso. And I'm going to show you a couple quick things to do for that. All right, so go ahead and sit up nice and tall. And, I often give this cue of moving so your shoulders are over your hips. So here's what that looks like. See? And then back of your head in line with your spine. And then press down into your sitting bones. They're part of your pelvis. And just do this little movement of lifting up through the crown of your head, lifting up through the crown of your head. There you go. All right, bring your hands to your shoulders. And we're just going to do some circles with the elbows. And then we're going to get really big with those circles. So you can feel the chest already opening there. There you go. You can go both directions. Just a little warm up to open the chest. We call them heart openers. All right, clasp your hands together. Press your palms towards me. Touch your thumbs together. Press your palms away and pull your thumbs towards your chest. And then take a big inhale. And on your exhale, lift your arms overhead, way up there, way, way up there. Drop your lower ribs. Press your palms towards the ceiling. And then come back. Reach back behind you. Hold that chair. You can hold the sides of the chair here. Press down into your sitting bones. So you're pressing down, and you're going to lift up and look up at the ceiling. You're not throwing your head back here. So you're opening the chest here. You can even reach back, clasp the hands back behind you, and reach the hands away to open the chest. Take some long, slow breaths through the nose. All right, and then we release. We're gonna do a twist here. It puts a little bit of a tug on the diaphragm here. Let's twist to the left first. So hold the bottom of the chair, push down into your sitting bones, lift up through the crown of your head and twist to the left. Looking over the left shoulder, press down into the sit bones and sit up really tall. Lengthen up through the crown of the head. Relax that left shoulder blade. And come back to center. We'll go the other direction. You can hold the bottom of the chair with the right hand. And the left arm comes across. Press down into the sit bones, lengthen up through the crown of your head, and twist, looking over your right shoulder. Take a few nice long breaths. Remember to direct the inhale into your upper back. Nice long exhale. And then come back to center. All right, so that's just a few activities that you can do to open the chest. And of course, remember we talked about secondary muscles that help with breathing, meaning muscles in your throat and your abdominal muscles. So doing abdominal exercise, anything that you can do to strengthen your core will also facilitate breathing. It's all related, right? Okay, we can go forward. We're going to talk a lot about this breath work called cyclic sigh. It's a kind of a cool name, cyclic sigh. It is so important. It's really going to be the foundation of what I want to teach you today. That's going to be that best bang for your buck breathing activity that's going to help you with reducing stress. It's going to help you with digestion. It's going to help you with sleep. It's going to help you with mood. And it is so easy to do. So you can see there's a lot of bang for your buck there, what cyclic breathing can do for you. And by the way, before we practice the cyclic breathing, again, remember I said, I really like to present to you what I have found to be evidence-based, what the research is showing. There's a fascinating study where they had a big group of people and they did it with integrity, this research project, where they had them do different techniques and to measure their stress. So they had them do 5 minutes of meditation. That was one group. They had some people doing cyclic sigh breathing. They had another group doing box breathing, which we're going to practice later. It's a different kind of breath work. And then they had another group that was doing the more of a hyperventilating breath work. So 4 different kinds of techniques that are supposedly supposed to reduce stress. And they all do to some degree, but when they measured who got the most bang for their buck, who got the biggest changes in stress level, it was the group that did the cyclic sigh breathing. So that's why we're going to put a lot of emphasis on this today and practice the cyclic sigh breath. All right. So cyclic sigh breath, pretty easy to do. So I'm going to have Ben spotlight me, and we're going to do it together. All right. So make sure you're sitting up tall, your feet are on the floor, shoulders over your hips. Cyclic sigh breathing is, just watch for a second. It's an inhale through the nose, a nice long inhale, followed by another quick inhale because you really want to inflate those lungs. It helps with the little sacs inside the lungs so that they open up more. And then you're going to exhale through your mouth. So it looks like this. So it was a long inhale through the nose, really filling the lungs. Then one more quick inhale to really get those areolar sacs opened, and then a long exhale through the mouth. So we're going to do that. Let's do it 3 times. I recommend doing it for a couple minutes, maybe even 5 minutes every day. And it would be really cool to do an experiment. Maybe do it for a week and see if you notice any changes in how you're sleeping, any changes in your mood, your attitude, your stress level, all right, anxiety. Let's do it together. Let's do 3 rounds. Again, it's a slow inhale through the nose. Your inhale is your inhale. Don't worry about it matching mine. And then another inhale, and then that long exhale through the mouth. Okay, here we go. All right, So that was 3 rounds. It takes practice, and maybe start with doing it for a minute, build up to 2 minutes, all the way up to 5 minutes, and see how that helps you feel. And that is our cyclic sigh breathing. It's going to stimulate the phrenic nerve. It's going to help with being able to take deeper breaths. And I will bet you that after a week of doing this breathing, you're going to find that you have greater lung capacity and you can take bigger breaths. All right, we're going to move on. So the cyclic sigh isn't the only breath work that I want to teach you here today. I have quite a few others. I have a nice big toolbox full of breathing techniques. And again, I'm not going to teach the ones that are for upregulating. There's a few like Kapalabhati or Wim Hof that have more to do with hyperventilation, and they serve their purpose. But because we're not in person and I don't really know what your circumstances are, I'm not going to teach those today. But if you're interested, you can look at, you can research Wim Hof, W-I-M-H-O-F. I use that if I start to feel sick. I'll use the Wim Hof technique. It's supposed to help the immune system. I think it's pretty cool. And then there's also Kapalabhati, which is another breathing technique from yoga that can be really helpful for people for energizing. All right. So we're going to spotlight me and we're going to practice some breathing techniques. So the first one I like to introduce is just the reset breath. All it is 2 quick inhales through the nose, exhale through the mouth. We're just resetting the breath. Looks like this. So we do that with me. There you go, just to reset the breath. The next one is breathing just through the left nostril. So remember when we talked about parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system? While breathing through the left nostril is stimulating, activating the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest. That's the one that's going to down regulate. That's going to help you calm down. Breathing just through the right nostril, which there are reasons why we want to upregulate, where you might want more energy. That's going to stimulate your sympathetic nervous system and give you more energy, make you more alert, make your brain more excited. Okay? All right. So go ahead and close your right nostril. You can just use your index finger. Close your right nostril. I'm going to mirror you so it makes a little more sense to you. You're going to close your right nostril. If you want, you can close your eyes. You can have your eyes open. But use that nice posture that we've been talking about. Shoulders over hips, back of your head in line with your spine. And we're going to breathe just through the left nostril for, let's do, about 5 breaths. Remember, inhale into your upper back. Direct the breath to your upper back. Picture those lungs. So slowly inhale. And slowly exhale. You've got the right nostril closed. If you're having trouble, if you feel like this left nostril is kind of stopped or plugged, you're not getting good breath, take your other finger and pull the skin away to open up that nasal passage. A few more rounds of breathing just through the left nostril to calm the nervous system. All right, and you can stop. So by the way, you might check this out. Throughout the day, your nasal passages, maybe about every 30 minutes or so, one side is more open than the other. So if you think, oh, this side is always a little stopped up or doesn't have that good flow. Not necessarily true. You might just be checking at the wrong time. Because I used to think that, but actually that's the way the flow works. The way nasal cycling works is that it's changing every 30 minutes or so. All right. All right. The next technique that we're going to practice is called Brahmari or bee breath. Bee breath or Brahmari, Brameri, is a way to create vibration in the body. And we're a body of energy. You know, when you feel kind of heavy in your heart, it's like energy stuck there. So we're going to move energy in the body by using some humming. And just watch for a second because you won't be able to see what's going on if you start following along, because you're going to be closing your eyes. I like to do it with the hands and then close the ears with the thumb. So it looks like this. I'm going to turn so you can see. And relax the elbows down. All right. And then what we'll do is we'll take a nice big inhale into the upper back through the nose. And then hum through the exhale. And by the way, this idea of humming, it's getting more and more popular. I was just watching a little video about how humming for 30 minutes a day can really help with reducing stress. So it's kind of like this technique that we're talking about, Brahmari or bee breath. When we think about energy, we have areas of the body, we call them plexus, where there's more condensed energy. And in the chakra system, they talk about, the crown chakra and throat, solar plexus and the root, where energy is more condensed, right? So have you ever felt like kind of that pit in your stomach? You might be talking about that, the chakra, the energy that's condensed in the solar plexus, the upper belly area. So when we're doing this Brahmari, this breathing technique, you can actually focus on an area of your body that might need that release of constricted energy. And then you can even match the pitch, the tone of your humming. Suppose I was working with, oh, my head just feels so tight and achy. I might be doing a higher pitch and focusing on releasing energy here and getting the energy unstuck. Or if I'm got something going on in my low belly, I might do that kind of a pitch. All right. So I'd like to practice this together. Again, it's hands over the eyes, ears are closed. So you won't be able to hear me quite as well. So what we'll do is we will use the goal of doing it 3 times, 3 rounds. So it's a long inhale and a long exhale. We'll do 3 rounds of that. Okay. All right. That way you're not left humming out there by yourself. Okay. All right. Hands over the eyes, thumbs over the ears. Big inhale into the upper back. All right. This is a nice pranayama to do before you go to sleep at night, just to calm the nervous system, to soothe the nervous system. You do as many rounds as you feel like doing. And that's bee breath. The next pranayama or breath work that I want to share with you is called alternate nostril breathing. Also goes by Nadi Shodhana. Alternate nostril breathing is a really great way to open up both those nasal passages. It works on that right brain, left brain connection. So there's a couple of different ways to do it. The simple way is one finger each hand closing. You're going back and forth because we're going to inhale through one side, exhale through the other. Then we inhale the same side, we just exhaled and go through the other. The other way to do it, and you can do this with me, is hold up your hand, close your ring finger and thumb together, ring finger and thumb. So your middle finger and index finger are together. All right, and you put that on your third eye. I'm going to turn so you can see. You don't need to turn, I'm just showing you. So your thumb closes one nostril and your ring finger can close the other. So you're going back and forth like this, right? Back and forth, back and forth. And again, let's say you're inhaling through the left nostril, you can pull the skin away. You can even do it here where you can use that finger to pull the skin away to open. I often have to do that. Okay. All right, so we're going to do a few rounds of this alternate nostril breathing. And again, the length of your breath is going to be the length of your breath. Don't feel like, oh, I have to get to 5 seconds, or I don't want to stop at 5 seconds. You do what works best for you. All right. So let's begin together. I'll just do the one finger technique to keep it simple for you. Let's close the left nostril and slowly begin inhaling through the right. Close the right nostril and exhale through the left. All the way, slow and steady. Inhale through the left. Close, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close, exhale, slow and steady. Exhale through the left. Inhale, think about drawing the breath all the way up to your third eye area, the center of your forehead. Close, exhale the other side. Take that inhale into the upper back. Close and finish with an exhale here. So not exactly a breath work that you can do when you're driving, but there are other opportunities to practice that one. So there are plenty of breath work exercises that we've done that you can do when you're stuck in traffic or in public that people won't even know you're doing them. So again, that one is called alternate nostril breathing. The next one I want to teach you is called box breathing, and you might have heard of box breathing. And box breathing is interesting because it's a lot about breath retention. And remember, breath retention is going to build up the CO2, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Helps with oxygen delivery. It's a good thing. Holding your breath is a good thing. It's going to really vary what the count is for most people. And let me help you out with this so that you can figure out what your count will be. Because you might say, well, should I do a 3-second inhale with a 3-second hold, with a 3-second exhale? Or do I do 5 seconds, or do I 8 seconds? It's going to vary. So we're going to do a little groundwork for that, okay? This is to determine how long your count should be. So what I want you to do, let me tell you first, and then you'll do it with me. You're going to inhale as much as you can, nice and slow. Maybe take another little sniff in so that your lungs are completely inflated. And you do this slow. And then very slowly, I want you to exhale. And I'm going to give you a count of how many seconds have gone by so that you will know what your number is when you finish your exhale. Now, I'm not asking you to exhale and then hold your breath. I know you can hold your breath. You don't need to do that for me. All I want you to do is empty the lungs completely. So you're not doing and then holding your breath. You just, once the lungs are completely empty, that's going to be your number. So I'm going to be counting for you. I'll tell you when we're at 10 seconds, 20 seconds. Well, I'll probably start with 15 because I think most of us can get to 15. And then you're going to know what your score is in a minute. So I'm going to talk to you about that. Okay. All right. So we're going to do this together. And if you don't want to do it, don't worry about it. But we're going to do it together. And so I'm going to tell you when to go. And you're going to take a nice long inhale and then a little bit extra so your lungs are completely inflated. And then again, the objective here is to slowly, 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 slowly exhale. And you can do that through your mouth, by the way. Slowly, slowly, slowly exhale. And then we're going to get your score there. Okay? All right. And it's not a competition. This is just to get some information for yourself. Okay, ready, begin. Start inhaling as much as you can. As much as you can. And a little bit more. And then start exhaling slowly, slowly. Ten seconds. 15 seconds. I want you to notice when your lungs are empty. 20 seconds. 25 seconds. 30 seconds. 35 seconds. And if you're at 35 seconds, you can stop. All right. So remember, it's not holding your breath. So what's that number? You can just write it down or just think it to yourself. So if your number, when you finish exhaling without holding your breath, just that complete exhale, if your number was under 20, I want you to give yourself the score of 3. Okay. If your exhale lasted, well, let's say over 20, more like 25 to 30, 22 to 30, that's a 4. And if it's on the higher end, if it was closer to 30, you can give yourself a 5. And if it was over 30, I want you to give yourself a score of, you can either do 6, 7, or 8, okay? Doesn't matter, it just depends on how long you went. So this isn't about how fit you are or not, that's not what we're talking about here, but it's gonna help you determine what your box breathing is gonna look like. So if your score was a 3, that means for box breathing, you're gonna inhale to the count of 3, hold the breath for the count of 3, exhale for the count of 3, hold the breath for a count of 3, and begin again. So 3, 3, 3, 3. That's our box breathing, okay? If it was a 5, then you're inhaling 5, holding, exhaling 5, holding, inhaling 5. Holding. You're just going to hold after the exhale. So you hold after the inhale, you hold after the exhale. Got it? It looks like this. I'll just do a 3 second. I don't know if you could see much there, but all right. So whatever your score was, that's the number that you use for the inhale, the hold, and the exhale. Ready? All right. So let's do, how many boxes shall we do? Let's do 5 boxes, 5 rounds of box breathing. So go ahead and begin. Remember to hold, exhale to that same count, and hold. Begin again, the inhale, the hold, same count for the exhale, hold, keep going. All right, you can stop now. Give this a try. Do it for a week. Do some box breathing every day for a week, and you're going to be so surprised what your lung capacity becomes and how it's going to be so much easier to take a longer inhale and a longer exhale. So good for us. So give that a try. That's your box breathing. Remember what I said before about the research. Box breathing is great. It does reduce stress, but you want the most bang for your buck. You're going to do that cyclic sigh, and the long exhale. All right. So 5 minutes a day, choosing some type of breath work that will be very helpful for so many different health outcomes. And I'd love to hear from you, by the way, if you're finding that that's really helpful. Let's see. Another breath work that we can do is called the 4-7-8. The 4-7-8, or maybe it could be 3-6-7. Remember, it's really about our individual needs in terms of how long we do the breath. But the 4-7-8, that's my goal there, is an inhale of 4, a hold for 7, and an exhale for 8. So if you were a 3, then just shorten it a little bit. All right, do a 3-6-7. All right, let's do it together. And I'm going to do 4-7-8. I'll count for you. So begin inhaling 2, 3, 4, hold 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Always through the nose. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, nose 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, that's the 4-7-8. And again, you can change those numbers depending on what your needs are. So I think that's pretty much what I want to talk to you about in terms of breathing exercises. Again, there are a lot more out there. You can do your Google research, but I encourage you to keep coming back to that cyclic sigh. One of the things that I have found, and in talking to colleagues who are also in the healthcare profession, is that many people don't finish their exhale. Remember we watched in that video about the movement of the diaphragm? This is my pretend diaphragm here. So when we inhale, muscle fibers actually contract and the diaphragm releases down. The ribs expand because there's pressure there. Organs have to get out of the way. The belly expands. And then when we inhale, the diaphragm comes back up. And what I have found, a couple things that I found working with clients is one, that the movement is this rather than this. Does that make sense? So it's not a full movement of the diaphragm, or the movement is this. The diaphragm releases down, and then the exhale isn't complete. So we don't really come all the way back up with the exhale. So maybe notice that throughout the day if you're really exhaling all the way, and practice that little bit of exhale. And then one technique that I have, something that you can do if you want to work on releasing the diaphragm that I think is really helpful, is to do something called legs up the wall. And I'm going to show you what that looks like, because you might find like, oh, that helped my diaphragm get unstuck. And, sometimes I come by that honestly. Maybe you've had some severe trauma, something, you didn't see the car coming and your breath catches and that diaphragm kind of gets stuck. That's a traumatic outcome. It's the diaphragm getting stuck. So, and again, sometimes it's from upper respiratory conditions that we've had, maybe from childhood. But I want to show you something that I think is really a really nice way to get that diaphragm to release all the way back up. It's called legs up the wall. I'm going to go over to my wall. And it's important that you have something to put underneath your hips. So I'm going to get my cushion here. You can roll up a towel, a blanket, but I'm going to take this cushion and bring this with me. So when you come to the wall, you want to get as close to the wall as you can. So you might notice here, a really easy way to get close to the wall is to try to put your bottom on the wall. Try to sit on the wall with that hip right there. And then spin yourself around so that you end up on your back. Do a little inchworming here to get closer so that those hips are right up against the baseboard. Bend your knees, press your feet into the wall, lift your hips up really high so you can put that blanket cushion pillow underneath your hips. Why are we doing this? Why do we have to have something under our hips? This is really important. It's so that your heart is higher than your head. And if you can see, I've got this already, I'm at this diagonal here, this incline, so that it's going to help release the diaphragm back up towards the heart, okay? This has a lot of good medicine packed into it, by the way, this legs up the wall, restorative pose. There are a number of things happening here. Your lymph is flowing. Lymph flows up against gravity. So here you're helping it out. The lymph, which removes impurities out of your body, is flowing in the direction it needs to go, going towards this main drain where it gets filtered. You're releasing the diaphragm because of this position. And you're also stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, which we now know is really important for resting and digesting. So I recommend this position, this restorative pose, not just for resetting the breath, resetting the diaphragm, but for reducing stress and calming the nervous system. It's a great one to do to take a break throughout the day rather than grab a cup of coffee. Maybe do legs up the wall or before bedtime. All right, so to get out of this, bend your knees, lift your hips, slide that cushion out, roll over to your side, and come on back up. So that is your legs up the wall. Okay, so we can move on to the next slide. I'll do a little review of what we've been talking about. So here are the main takeaways. The first one is there are so many health benefits of breathing through your nose. So if you know that you're a mouth breather, particularly when you sleep, you might want to explore trying that piece of tape over your mouth. Slowing down our breath, meaning really using that diaphragmatic breathing, has amazing health benefits. And if you're going to think about lengthening either the inhale or the exhale, I recommend starting with that exhale because that's usually where we shortchange ourselves. All right, next slide. We learned that carbon dioxide is just as important as O2, oxygen. And that breath retention can help with building carbon dioxide. And that one breath work that we're going to give a try, hopefully, is the cyclic sigh. 5 minutes a day to improve our overall well-being. All right, and we can move on here. I have some resources here. This one, the first one, that's the research on that cyclic sighing. That was some research done at Stanford University. And then I really try hard when I'm going to give you some resources to give resources that are nationally recognized as robust research. And so if you see the next link, it has that NIH, that's the National Institute for Health. It's governmental. And that is a lot of information on breathing. It has way more than what we've covered because I didn't cover some breathing conditions that people might have. And by the way, I do think that some of these techniques will help cure some of those conditions. So take a look at that. Lots of resources on that website. And then last but not least, the Cleveland Clinic has a nice article there on diaphragmatic breathing, if that's something you still want to dive into. So just a few resources. My favorite book, I didn't put that in here, is a book called Breath by James Nestor. And he it's a really interesting book, and you can listen to him on a podcast too. Again, it's James Nestor, and the book's called Breath. And I think it's fascinating what he's shown, the changes over the whole cranial area, the jaw, with people as over the centuries we've become more mouth breathers. Oh, and I want to mention something since I didn't say this. Chewing is really important for development of our jaw, for help with breathing. So love my mashed potatoes, love my soft white bread. That food that you can really chew, really important for the jaw, also really important for good breathing, okay? So I call it horse food, those oats. And so James Nestor, the book Breath, it's fascinating. And again, if you don't want to buy a book, you can listen to a podcast or do a YouTube. I'm a big fan of listening to podcasts. My favorite is the Huberman Lab. And Andrew Huberman is he's a neuroscientist and ophthalmologist. He actually has a #1 podcast for health and well-being, Huberman Lab. And he did interview James Nestor. He's got that podcast there. But I like his own podcast where he goes through breathing and how breathing helps us be much more healthy. I love how he breaks it down. He breaks it down enough where I think, okay, I think I'm getting it. Sometimes I have to rewind it and unless I didn't really quite understand that and I have to go back. But I'm just a huge fan of Huberman Lab. And he has many, many wonderful podcasts to help us age well, to feel good in our body. And he covers everything, including, social connection, the gut microbiome. So I'm a big fan of that. So check out Huberman Lab. You might just become a podcast fan as well. All right, so we're going to move on here. I know I gave you a lot of information, and some of you may know a lot more about this topic than I do, and you're like, hey, Diane, that wasn't quite right. Let me share this with you. I'm open to learning, to growing, getting more information, or if something didn't make sense to you and you want more information, I will do my very best to get you resources that will help and support you. That's my email there. You can spotlight me, Ben. Again, the reason I teach these webinars is because I really do want to help you. And again, it's not a prescription, it's just giving you information. And what I'm hoping to do in these webinars is gather all this information, glean all the most important salient points of a topic, whether it's breathing or cultivating healthy habits or working with the immune system, and just distill it down so that you don't have to do all that work of, well, should I believe this research paper or should I follow this podcaster? I'm just trying to give you more of the salient points here. All right. And if you find something you're thinking, hey, Diane, have you heard of this or read that? I would love to hear from you. For now, I hope that this has been a benefit and that you will give that cyclic sigh a try. And remember to take care of yourself. Fill your cup first, and then you have something to give other people. Alrighty, be well.